Well, on the front page of Us Over in Spain, a photo of Real Madrid's players visibly upset. Mejoría sin premio. So improvement without reward, without an award is what this says here. And Mundo Deportivo had to say golpe a Xavi, which is a blow to Xavi, I would say, right, Stefano, here. Now, Rodrygo was the goal scorer for this Real Madrid side yesterday, finally breaking through his scoring drought, and he did celebrate by hugging his manager, Xabi Alonso. So this is what he had to say. It's a difficult time. It is for us, and it is for him, meaning Alonso, too. Things aren't working out, and I wanted to show people that we are united with our coach. They often try to create a lot of things, and I just wanted to say that we were united and that we need this unity to move forward and achieve our goals. So explaining why he went over to go hug his manager. So obviously, back-to-back losses for Real Madrid at the Bernabeu, at their home, which is not an easy place for someone to go and beat Real Madrid on their home turf, Tony. And there was a lot riding on this match because there was the reports where that Xabi Alonso's career with Real Madrid were really banking on how they would perform in this game. But I would say despite the loss in this one, it feels like Xabi has maybe bought himself a bit more time due to how his team played in this game.
Yeah, and I think due to the effort that they put in, right? If you watch this match, first 35 minutes, they were deserved to be up 1-0 and maybe 3-0 at that point, right? They had some opportunities on the counter. It was that last pass that didn't come off, but you can see intensity. The pressing was there. Remember, Xavi on the weekend, when they went down to 10 men in his post-game conference, he said, we were better with 10 men because we worked harder than we were with 11 men in that game. And also, if you take it a few days before that, a week ago, last Wednesday, against Athletic Club, he came out of that win saying this was the perfect performance. So when you talk about a roller coaster for a manager who thinks, okay, I've got my team going in one direction, then we're home and we lose to Celta Vigo and we okay, a game they may have been able to win, but really we're looking at Real Madrid and saying they should win that game 3 or 4-1 at the end of the day. They lose 2-0 when it's all said and done. So you're looking for a reaction. With all the pressure, I thought that when I watch this team, and we always look at when guys are under pressure, the effort that guys put in, they put in maximum effort. Credit to Manchester City yesterday because they found a way. They were in a lot of trouble in that first half. But as far as buying himself time, I think he did.
100%, and I think there's been a big swing in the Spanish press today. It's very much a stay of execution. This was labelled as the game where Xabi Alonso, if they lose and they lose badly, it was pretty much curtains for him. But there were no whistles, there were no hankies being waved. We saw the public show of support. Jude Bellingham has said as well after the game, we are all in this together. We're right for our manager. And I totally concur with what Tony said. I mean, it was an amazing game of football. You'd think it was the semi-final and one team was going out of the competition. It was like basketball. It was end-to-end. They slugged it out. I really, really enjoyed watching it as a game. Maximum effort, and supposedly players like Vinny Jr., who's not playing for his manager, couldn't have tried harder, and with a bit of luck, he could have been a match winner for them. So I thought it was a really, really encouraging display from Real Madrid and also for Xabi Alonso. But the problem is, we're talking about Real Madrid. You can't always apply common sense and logic as to what the situation is. They've got the Super Cup coming up, which I think will be the marker for them in many ways, which is a bit strange. But yeah, really, really encouraging. And don't forget, they were without Militao, without Mbappé as well. So they had almost one hand tied behind their back.
Yeah, so you guys do talk about how good of a performance we did see from Real Madrid despite the loss. But with all of this, it did have 8 players out, one of the major ones being Mbappé. So does it feel like maybe they are too reliant on Mbappé to be able to get the win?
Yeah, I mean, we've been saying that now for a little bit of time. I think this team is extremely reliant on Mbappé. You had Vinny Jr., we talked about it, you just mentioned him. This was his chance. We've heard a little bit of the discontent from him of not being the guy on this team. Had an opportunity yesterday with Mbappé out. Couldn't even put a shot on target. Had some opportunities, blew a couple over the bar, and that's tough. And look, I understand when you're at Real Madrid, 2 wins in their last 7 matches, it's not good enough, and you're always going to hear the pressure ramp up when Real Madrid is not getting results and they're going through a stretch like this. But I do think that the Xabi talk about losing his job is a little bit premature. I am not one
Even by Real Madrid standards.
Even at Real Madrid standards, he's been in the job for a few months at this point. Yes, he had the Club World Cup, but when you have all of these injuries, and I understand that everyone's dealing with injuries, but when you have all of these injuries, it's only so much a manager can do. And when you don't have some of your players, your top players, performing, and that secondary scoring has been a bit lacking, I do think that it's tough to just all of a sudden turn to Xabi and say, well, your job's on the line. And I understand it's Real Madrid, and
well, it was discussed, wasn't it?
It's up there. It was.
Perez, it was leaked that his position was discussed after the home loss at the weekend.
I still don't think it's fair to the manager.
No, I agree. I agree with you completely. But what my point is, Real Madrid, they dance to a different beat.
Yep.
They do their own thing. And as Guillaume said yesterday, yes, you're all right, and it doesn't make sense, and it's ridiculous. However, this is Real Madrid. This is how they operate, and crucially, look how successful they've been.
The manager's job at Real Madrid is discussed after every loss, right? And we've seen this. Zinedine Zidane won 2 Champions Leagues. He lost 2 games in a row, and they had him axed. Right, he was out the door. They couldn't find anybody to take the job at that point, if you remember. Right, so but I look at the effort that they put in. That's what I'll go back to. That starting lineup that we put up from yesterday. There was 1 Champions League goal on the field. In that, it was Bellingham, the only guy in that lineup for Real Madrid. 6 match days into a Champions League, he was the only guy that had a goal. Right, so you talk about the dependence on Mbappé, but you bring Mbappé in to depend on him, right? That's what you do. You're bringing one of the best players in the world in to say, okay, take us to the next level. Wasn't available. I don't know why he was on the bench yesterday, because he didn't even warm up yesterday. So maybe something happened earlier in the day where or in the warm-up where he said, no, this is it. Tonight's not the night. But again, you go here. There were no goals in this team yesterday. And of course, we know the story about Rodrygo is 31 games. And of all the guys to get a goal, the guy who needed it the most ended up getting a goal.
Yeah, and it was good to be able to see him celebrate with his manager and again see that they are behind them. Now, one thing that we didn't get to see yesterday that we were all hoping for, Mbappé versus Erling Haaland, a little precursor to what we'll be able to see in the World Cup between them playing with their nations. But for Manchester City and what we got to see from them yesterday, we said it's not easy to win at the Bernabeu. It was their 2nd win at that stadium. What did you see from this Manchester City side that maybe makes you think that they can make a deep run in Champions League this year?
They were impressive, and I think that they held on there for dear life in the early stages of that game, which, of course, is not easy at the Bernabeu with that fan base behind their team just pleading and begging for a result from the Merengues. But it was a fantastic performance from Manchester City. Erling Haaland gets his goal. Yes, it's on a penalty, but he gets his goal. That's what he does. And I do think it's impressive. I do think for Manchester City to make a deep run in the Champions League, they need to have more consistent secondary scoring. We talk about dependence of Kylian Mbappé for Real Madrid. It's not quite to that level for Manchester City, but it is close because he has scored a majority, if not most, of their goals this season. So I do think that if they want to make a deep run, they need to get a little bit more secondary scoring. But this is a team, if they continue to defend well, this is a team that can absolutely shock a lot of teams and continue to move up the table and be a candidate to win the Champions League.
It's funny you talk about Erling Haaland and his goals, the goals he scores. So you imagine the pressure on him to deliver those goals. And he gave an interview this week. It was put to him, do you feel a pressure to score goals? And he literally said, well, so I should. It's my job. That's why I'm bought. If I don't score goals, I should be replaced. So yeah. Absolutely, you should rely on me to score goals. So he takes it as matter of fact and no problem whatsoever with the pressure being on him to score goals.
The same way that we attribute Real Madrid's success in Champions League to whether or not they have Mbappé, do we have that same amount with Erling Haaland and Manchester City, that they'll only make a deep run if they have Erling Haaland?
You can't ignore the numbers that Erling Haaland is posting, so you can see where the majority of their goals are coming from. I do think they potentially have other options. I don't think... I mean, it's a hard one to judge, isn't it? I think Real Madrid miss Mbappé far more than Erling Haaland. He could be out of a game or two. It looks like at the moment Real Madrid, the stats will tell us that if he doesn't score, they don't win.
29% without him is their win percentage versus 80% with him.
Yeah.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, so I would suspect the numbers would not be as poor for City if Haaland is missing.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.